Hey, thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I'm going to work in my Christmas art journal. I have a lot of different themed journals. Last November, I showed how to paint this cute Christmas gnome, and today I thought I would draw a little Christmas elf and paint it. So to get started, I'm working in a book. This is a book that has relatively thick pages. It is thread binding, so it's not glued. It's bound in by threads, so it won't fall apart. And I'm not gluing pages together. I'm just working right directly on the pages. This one has a thin coat of either paint or gesso. I kind of use it as a use it up book too. So to get started, I'm going to draw a little elf, and to do that, I'm going to draw my circle for the head. I'll try to do it dark enough that you can see it on camera. And the little pointy chin. And then you can make your line down the center. I'll do it lightly. I don't need those lines anymore, but for those of you who are just learning faces, there's the lines. And I'm going to make round eyes. And you kind of do a space that's the same, but on a stylized drawing that's whimsical or a character, it doesn't matter if the space is exactly the size of the eyes. So you can kind of just wing it. And you're using those lines just kind of as a guide. And you just try to make them the same size. And I'm going to draw my little circle iris and circle pupil. And a little round, we're going to go for a little round button nose. Okay. And now for the ears, I'm going to go higher than normal. I usually do my ears between the eye and the bottom of the nose, and I'm going to go up a little bit higher and do pointy elf ears. Let's draw in the hair. And let's put him in a little turtleneck. Okay, so there's my little elf sketched on. Now I'm going to use a Tombow mono drawing pen, a size 02, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to ink those lines. So I'm going to do that, and then I will come back and show you my painting process. So I've just inked it lightly. I like to do the darkest part of the lines last with a paint pen. I just like to do my little fine lines in my Tombow pen just to get the basic idea down onto the page. Then I can erase my pencil, go in and do my painting, and then the last thing I like to do is to come back in and add the touches and use a paint pen to define some of the darker, wider lines. And so that's what I did here. And so now I'm just going back in and erasing the pencil. For my initial layer on the face, I think I'm going to use some Joe Sonia, and this is a titanium ecru color, and use that for his initial layer of skin tone, and I'm just taking some acrylic paint and a paintbrush and getting it kind of wet so it spreads out. And I don't care if my pages wrinkle. This is just a book art journal to play in. So, and the first layer is just to get some color down and just lightly fill in the flesh colors. Not being too specific, just getting a nice little base down. And then I think I might come back in with some Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2. You could do this in watercolor paints. You could do this in anything you desire. The coloring part of it could be done in pens. It could be any way you want. I'm just showing you my process, and this is going to be using acrylic paints and Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2, I think, and some paint pens. Okay, so there's basic skin tone. I'm going to let that dry. So next I'm going to go in with some Neocolors. This is the yellow ochre, and I've switched to a water brush. I like putting a base of acrylic, light acrylic down, and then going back over and doing my shadowing and casting shadows and shades with Neocolors. I just find it super easy. And Neocolors blend out really nicely. This is just getting a second layer just to add some more depth and color to the skin. And I don't know that an elf would have these skin colors. They may be greenish or bluish. You could kind of go crazy with your coloring, and maybe they have green tinted skin or blue. Who knows? Who knows? Have you seen an elf? Hard to know. So I'm just putting a little shadow under the lip and under the nose. And then I'm going to come back in with, this is salmon pink for salmon. And I'm going to add some pinky cheeky color. It's just fun. It's fun to play. And it's not a masterpiece that I'm going to do on a canvas to sell or give to anybody. This is just in my art journal, so that's why I'm not being too specific or deliberate. I'm just playing because it's just an art journal. I'm going to take some blue. This is light blue. And put some blue in the eyes. And I think I'm going to take my Arteza brush pens. I just love those. And add even some more darker colors and depth. I'm making my elf have blue hair. I don't know why. I just feel like it would be fun. So here's some blue hair. And then adding some depth, so I'm going in with blue jeans. It's always darker underneath, next to the neck. So I'll make it a little darker there. And if it starts to blend too much, you're not getting definition, it's because you need to wait a minute and let it dry or use your heat tool. Like right here, it's just blending in a lot. So I can just hit it with my heat tool and dry it off a little bit. Neocolor 2s seem to blend really well after you've done that because the page is nice and warm. I don't know why, but that just makes the Neocolors on a warm page really work out well. So that's cute so far. I'm just going simple. Simple but fun. I'm going to do a wash of green. For the little sweater. You could come back in after it dried and you could use colored pencils to color in or make it darker. Maybe I'll do that this time. I haven't used my colored pencils in a while and I love colored pencils. There's so many things you can do with your supplies to layer them and use them together. And let's make the hat. Make the hat green. I think I am going to go green on the hat. I was going to do red like a Santa hat, but I'm going to go elf green on this. Green top, green hat. And for the lips, I always go a little darker on the top lip and then just pull a little of that color down to the bottom lip. That's a Tamara Lepore technique. And it works great. Makes the lips look really cute. And I think the cheeks need a little more color, so I'm going with, let's see, this is a carmine red, and I'm really doing it light-handed, so it looks more pinkish. Just to add a little pop of pink on those cheeks. The pink was too light, so a little carmine red. And I'm going to use some Aztec Gold Arteza Metallic on the little jingle bell that I drew, because I like that it's metallic-y and sparkly. And I'm kind of doing it in a watered down. I mean, obviously acrylic paint, if you add water to it, you can see through it. And if you put it on heavier, then it's more opaque, so you can use it any way you want. But for this, I'm wanting my book text to show through on my page just because I like it. And it's kind of how my whole book is, so. But I like the shiny coppery bell. That's cute. I'm going to use some Arteza in titanium white. It's just plain white acrylic paint, and I'm going to do that on the hat. So with my damp paintbrush, I'm just going to spread that out, because I'm going to go back over that with a white paint pen and make it look cute and fuzzy. But I just want to get that more white than the book text page. So I'm going to use some colored pencil now. I'm using Faber-Castell Polychromo. This is in a cobalt blue greenish, and I'm going to come in here and add some cast shadow in the eye up at the top, and then come around just lightly colored pencils layer really nicely over. This is over acrylic paint and Neocolor too. See how that just kind of makes the eyes pop when you make it a little darker up at the top. Kind of like the eyelid is casting a little shadow. And then I can come in here in the hair and add in some pencil strokes in the hair. A little darker underneath where that hat would be sitting, just make that hair pop a little bit. Just adding some touches, and then now going in with a green. This is a Luminance, Caran d'Ache Luminance in, what color is it? Spring green. It's kind of the color I painted the hat, and I'm going to just go back in and add some shadow to that hat. You could do that with the acrylic paint. You could go heavier with the acrylic paint, but I still want to see my book text underneath, and so this way you have a thin layer of paint laid down for your base, and then the colored pencil over it. You still get to see that fun book text come out from underneath it. It's just preference. And I'm not going very, as you can see, I'm going fast here, especially because I'm on camera. I want to get that shadows, a little darker green inside the collar here, where it'd be shadowed, and underneath it. So I think I'm going to come back in with a stencil over the shirt and the hat. Okay. Let's do a little bit of pinky color on the lips, a little bit underneath, a little pinky around the eyes. So you can see I'm not taking much time on this. I'm just doing a quickie art journal page, so I'm just having fun with it and not being too specific. You could spend hours and hours and make it perfect, but that's not what I'm going for. You can come back in with your pencils though, see, and you can add in some nice shading. Just to deepen up that shading a little bit. And I'm taking a purple. I'm even going to add a little hue of purple. Purple makes nice shadow. Now my favorite part's to come in with a Uniposca pen, and I'm going to fill in those eyes, fill in those pupils of the eyes, and leave a little touch of white. So I'm filling it in about 3/4 of the way, that circle that I created, and then just doing a little sketchy circle like that. I'm going to darken this line on top, bring out the eyes. Darken the little nostrils, a little bit on the lip, and do the eyebrows in paint pen, and do some defining a little bit with the hair. This is the part that I like best, is it's just coming in and defining your drawing with paint pen, and I do it last because it's the last thing. Next I'm going to take this little stencil with stars and some purple acrylic paint and just a cosmetic sponge, and I'm just going to go and stencil some cute little stars on this guy's shirt. Super fun. And then a couple on the hat. You just kind of have to be careful not to get it where you don't want it. Need one more up here. Super cute. Look how cute that is. Cute! Now I'm going to take an Arteza brush pen. This is in the Spearmint Blue. And I'm just going to throw a little bit of color here in the background. And then I'm going to use my water brush to blend it out a little bit. Very quick, very easy. Don't have to put a lot of hard work or thought into it. But it's just going to add some color in that background, because then I'm going to use a stamp. These Arteza brush pens are just so easy to add little pops of color here and there, and because they're like a watercolor dye in the brush, they blend nicely, of course, with a water brush. So you get just a really super fast, in a book especially, a really fast background if you're just wanting to fill in with some color. See, that's cute. It adds just a little pop of color, and I'm going to put a little bit on this page as well. It worked better on the page that had gesso than over here. The book page kind of grabbed it, but that's okay. It's all right. Okay, so next I'm going to take this rubber stamp, this cute Christmas tree. It's very plain, and I'm going to stamp it back here behind him. I'm going to use Ranger Archival ink in black, so I'm just going to prime my stamp and ink it, and then I'm going to put this piece of cardstock over his ear and his hat so I don't get it on him. I hope this works. I hope I stamp it in the right spot. Yeah, that's what I wanted, because I'm just using that as a base, and then I'm going to put another one over here on this side, and then that just gave me a base to take my black Posca pen and come in and add more branches. Define this one darker. This is a Molotow marker, not a Posca. Same thing pretty much, except these are refillable. Let's do one more branch down here. So that stamp ended, but I'm extending that tree a little bit behind this little guy. And then over here, do the same thing. Okay, and then now over that tree, I'm painting some blue over it, and I'm going to do some white stars in the sky. You can still see the tree behind it, because it will be underneath the paint. I'm just using blue acrylic paint. Just kind of wanted this to pop a little bit, so the light stuff in the background was too light. It needed darker. And I'm not going to paint the whole thing. I'm just going to add a little bit. And dry brush. Dry brush. You know me and dry brush. I love dry brushing. So I like to take a white Posca pen and go in here and do some scribbly lines all over that hat. on top of the white, and then it makes it look like the hat is fuzzy. And then I like to come in here and define the little highlights in the eyes a little more, and add a little white dot to the end of the nose. Makes that nose pop, and a little white on that bottom lip. It's one of my favorite parts, is adding those little highlights. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add some dots in this sky. So next what I did was I took that same blue paint and I covered part of this page, and I used a Posca pen to add the words, "You better be good," or "I'm telling Santa." And then I did my white dots over here too, so it looks like it's snowing, or it could be stars. So, you better be good, or I'm telling Santa, and no art supplies for you. Anyway, I hope you had fun. This was great fun. I enjoyed doing it, and I hope you are going to play along and try this in your Christmas art journal. So go make art, because art soothes the heart, and happy holidays, everyone.